Did I never talk about Tiresias's origin story, backstory? Let's fix that. He pops up in a lot of Greek mythology. He's one of those just like forever floating characters, similar to the gods. And he's known for being a prophet, and we find him in the Odyssey in the underworld. But why is Tiresias a prophet? How did he get the sight of the future? Let me tell you. So there's two versions of the story. So one day, Zeus and Hera are arguing. Like normal, like usual. They're always arguing. Although they are the gods of marriage, they sure do fight a lot. They are having an argument on one topic. Who has more pleasure doing the horizontal tango? Men or women? If you don't know what the horizontal tango is, the hanky-panky, the nasty, the birds and the bees. Who gets more pleasure? Hera thinks it's men. Zeus thinks it's women. And I gotta say, I find this conversation hilarious because you are the gods. What do you mean you don't know who gets more pleasure? Aren't you all knowing? Greek mythology, folks. So then they think about it and they're like, wait a minute. There's that mortal Tiresias. He has that weird experience where he's been both a man and a woman. Tiresias is the only mortal that's been documented who has been able to be a man and a woman. How did this happen? There's two alternating stories. One, which I actually haven't heard before I did my research, but one is that he accidentally saw Athena naked, or he saw her bathing, and Athena was like, zap. And that was his punishment, turning into a woman. And then Athena's mom was like, you didn't mean to be a peeping Tom, don't do that. And Athena's like, fine. And 7 years later, he turns him back into a man. The other version of the story is that one day he was walking and he saw two mating snakes, and he took his staff and slammed it onto the mating snakes. And Hera did not like that. And Hera was like, oh, you want to be rude to mating snakes? Now you're a woman. And the way he became a man again was 7 years later. He was walking across road with two more mating snakes and banged on their heads again because he clearly didn't learn his lesson. Or did he? Because that somehow turned him back into a man. Anyways, back to Hera and Zeus. Hera and Zeus are like, yeah, let's ask Tiresias. Tiresias knows what's up because he's been 7 years a woman and the rest of his life a man. He would know who gets the most pleasure, and I'm sure he did the do while he's a woman. Let's ask him. But here's the thing with gods. When you play god games, the mortal is always punished, regardless if they're right, regardless if they're wrong. You piss off a god, you're gonna get messed up. And the thing is, when these gods are in these arguments, you can only do so much. And there's another story. Actually, maybe I'll record that story right after, because that story's great, where it's just like, don't mess with the gods, because the gods will mess with you back. Don't answer their questions. Find a way to get out ASAP. Anyways, talking about Tiresias. So they call Tiresias. They're like, Tiresias, you know this experience. What's the answer? Men or women? Who gets more pleasure? And Tiresias says a very famous quote, if I can remember correctly. Of 10 parts, a man only enjoys one, but the woman enjoys the full 10 with her heart. So what does that mean? Women get way more pleasure than men. Way more. And Zeus is like, ha ha, I win. And he's being all Zeusy and stuff. And now, why does this matter? And how does this piss off Hera? Like, it's not Tiresias' fault. He did what they asked. He answered the question. But this is how he becomes a blind prophet. He's fully seeing. Okay? He's fully seeing this whole time. So he tells him that. Zeus is like, ha. Why is Zeus so happy? Because not only did he know that women get more pleasure, but he's essentially saying all these women that I've via pretending to be a swan, pretending to be a bull, coming as Zeus, all those women have felt my pleasure. Hera is of course pissed because she's wrong, but she's not only pissed because she's wrong, she's pissed because what do you mean women feel 10 parts? I do it with Zeus, I don't feel shit. And that's what pisses her off, because she's like, you're telling me he goes around and he just tickles whatever he fancies, in whatever form, a swan, a donkey, a hawk, a rock, you know, he tickles whatever he fancies in whatever form, and they feel 10 parts, but I can't feel anything because Zeus doesn't satisfy me. She gets mad. Of course this pisses her off. So what does she do? Zap, you know what? You think you know everything? You think you can see who has more pleasure, men or women? Now you can't see it all. Boom! And she makes him blind. And she walks off. And Zeus is like, ooh, I put you in a bad situation, didn't I? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't make you unblind. And I'm sure Tiresias was like, what do you mean you can't make me unblind? You're the god of the gods? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And of course Zeus is like, I can't undo what Hera's done, but what I will do is I'll give you the sight of the future to make up for it. And that's how we know Tiresias as the prophet who can see all except exactly what's in front of him. And that's really that story. And then we find him in Oedipus, which, ooh, I should get into Oedipus. And then we find him in the Odyssey talking to Odysseus in the underworld. I just find it hilarious because he's the god of the gods. What do you mean you can't give me my sight back? You can literally override Hera. What do you mean she's my wife and I can't go against my wife? At least he has some morals.